How you doing? I'm Darren with Kickin BBQ. If this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. If you've been here before, then welcome back. Today we are talking corn on the cob. Now I got two things for you today. Number one, I'm going to be showing you how I like to cook corn on the cob on the pellet grill. Now, you can use any cooker you want. The variation and changes are going to be if you're using a open flame cooker, which we'll discuss during the prep on this. And then I'm also going to be showing you number two, my favorite recipe for corn on the cob. It is just absolutely fantastic. You've probably seen it before. It's not completely authentic and I don't claim it to be, but I promise you it's fantastic and you're gonna want to give it a shot. So let's bring in and show you how we're going to prep up our corn on the cob. All right, so the prep on this corn is very simple. I just like to come in and give it a little bit of a haircut, take off any leaves that are kind of just hanging off there. That way they don't fall and get stuck in my cooker. So I just like to take some of this stuff off. And I don't pre-soak my corn or anything like that. I'm cooking on a pellet grill, so there's really no open flame to worry about. If you were gonna be cooking these on like a Weber or something like that, and you're gonna have the chance of these coming in direct contact with some flame, you might wanna soak them in water for a little while. But for me on the pellet grill, this is about perfect, and I'm gonna show you how you can actually use the husks on here to tell when they're done. It's a pretty simple process. So I have one of these done. I'm gonna get the rest of them done. All right, so you can see I have all of my corn trimmed up. We're not gonna have any loose hairs falling off in the cooker or anything like that. These are perfect just the way they are. So let's get these out on the Lone Star Grill's pellet grill. I'm gonna show you the next step in the process and how you can easily tell when these are done when you're grilling them. It's pretty simple, it's a nice little hack. And then I'll show you my favorite recipe for cooking corn on the pellet grill. All right, so we have the Lone Star Grill's pellet grill set at 300 degrees. It's coming up to temp right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and get the corn on while it comes up to temp, get a little smoke on there. So I'm just gonna get all four of these on. Now after this hits 300 degrees, we're gonna let these go for 30 minutes. We'll come out, we'll flip them, let them go for about another 30 minutes, and they'll probably be close to done. The way that I've found that you can tell when corn is done on these pellet grills is when these husks turn yellow on all around, they're usually done, they're usually nice and juicy, and they're perfectly cooked. So that's kind of my guideline, is just judging by the husks on these. So I'm gonna let this thing get up to 300 degrees. We're gonna let it go 30 minutes. I'll bring you back, we'll come out, flip, see how they're looking, and I'll kind of show you what I'm looking for the final product of this corn. We'll jump into the recipe, we'll do the taste test. It's gonna be awesome. So we'll see you in a little bit. All right, so it has been 30 minutes at 300 degrees. You can see everything's starting to kind of fade in the color of the green here, which is exactly what we want. So these are close to being done. I'm just gonna give them a little flip. You can see why we trim these up, because otherwise we'd have a bunch of stuff falling off right now. So now these are all flipped up, they're looking good. We're gonna let them go another 30 minutes. I can tell you they're gonna be done just by the color on them. They're gonna be absolutely perfect, and we'll finish off this recipe. We'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, so it has been another 30 minutes. You can see our corn is looking nice and colored up here. We've lost a lot of the green. I can feel that it's warm in my hand. I know this is gonna be cooked perfectly. So I'm going to get these off. We'll get them inside, let them cool for a few minutes, and then I'll show you my favorite way to prep these up. It's absolutely delicious. So I'm gonna get these off, get them in, let them cool for a little bit, and I'll bring you back. All right, so here is our corn. I went ahead and removed the husk. It's still a little warm, but it's not blazing hot. I did put a skewer in here just so it's easier to hold. And now I'm gonna show you what my favorite recipe is for this grilled corn on the cob. It smells wonderful. It smells just like a corn roast. So the first thing I like to do is just take a little bit of mayo, and you've probably seen this before with elote style corn, and this is just kind of my variation on it. And I really love this stuff, and I haven't met anyone who doesn't love this recipe every time I made it. So I just like to get a good coating of mayo on there, and I know what you're thinking, mayo on corn. If you've never had this, what? But I promise you, it is fantastic. So when you want to go pretty heavy, just because we're going to be putting some other things on here and we want it to stick real well. So I'm gonna get this completely lathered up. And this is also why I like to let it cool down, because if you put the mayo on here while it's really hot, it just kind of melts off, and you want this to stick on there really nicely. All right, now that we have that lathered up with mayo, I'm gonna go into some Cotija cheese here. And if you've never had Cotija cheese, it is so good. It's salty, it's delicious, it's just fantastic, especially on corn. It is by far one of my favorite cheeses ever. It's phenomenal in tacos, it's phenomenal on pretty much anything. I mean, it's great. And I buy the block and then break it up myself, which is kind of nice because then I get some bigger chunks. So we're just gonna get that coated up heavily with our cheese. And there we go, that is looking really nice. And then I'm gonna come in with some of my Kickin BBQ honey chipotle. This has good chipotle flavor in it, has a really nice barbecue flavor in it. Traditionally, I believe tahini is used, and you can use tahini if you want, but I found that this is just really a really good option and just adds a really nice barbecue flavor to this corn. So we're just gonna get a nice light layer on there, about like that. You can see we got some good color on this corn now. So there's that. Next, I'm gonna come in with a little bit of cilantro because I love the freshness that cilantro brings to this. If you don't like cilantro, if you're one of those people who thinks cilantro tastes like soap, number one, I'm sorry for you because that's really unfortunate because cilantro is fantastic. And number two, you're really missing out on some good flavor. So there's that, and we just kind of want everything to stick to it. That's why I said it's nice to go heavy with the mayo because everything will stick nicely to it, like so. And then the last thing I like to do is I like to come in with a little bit of lime juice, and unfortunately I don't have any fresh limes right now, so I'm just coming in with a little bit of this spray bottle stuff. We're just gonna hit that all over. Just a nice pop of freshness to go along with that cilantro. A little bit of acidity to cut down on the fat from the mayo. And then finally, one of my favorite hot sauces is Valentina hot sauce. Just gonna go right over the top with that. Just like so. And you can just add it as you bite it so that way it's not dripping everywhere. But look at that. Tell me that doesn't look absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful. It smells wonderful. I think it's time we jump out and do a taste test. All right, guys, and before we jump into this, I just want to say it is 10:04 in the morning on Friday, August 4th. This video will be going live at 4 p.m. Central Time, August 4th. So this is pretty much real time for you. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's do the taste test. Have this beautiful corn right here. Smells wonderful. I'm going in for a bite right where that hot sauce is. Let's do it. I'm sure I have a mess all over my face, and that's okay. This corn is juicy, it's tender, it's got a great bite. It has that classic corn roast taste that we love. I love the saltiness from the Cotija cheese. I love the freshness from the lime juice and the cilantro. I love the nice little bite we get from my Kickin BBQ honey chipotle. And that Valentina's hot sauce is just out of this world. Excuse me. You guys, if you've never done corn out on your pellet grill, you can do it how I just showed you. Run it at 300 degrees for about an hour, flip it halfway until the husks are yellowish, brownish. It's gonna be perfect. At that point, you can cook it however you like. But if you haven't tried this before, I highly recommend giving it a try. It is so, so good. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, stay safe, and we will see you next time.